I think the second session has garnered quite a number of response. I see quite a heated conversation about 3 rows behind. So I think that's a positive sign in a way. So allow me to start. When I first started working, I had a passionate, beautiful, smart, and eloquent woman as superior. At 7 a.m., she was dressed to a T, a full makeup on, and every time she entered the room, she commanded it with a charming aura. I was much younger than her, very new, was completely awestruck. But my colleagues who have been around much longer did not share the same sentiment as me. They told me, you'll know soon enough, having a woman as your boss, they tend to get too emotional. A few years after, when I myself reached a certain point where I had to command a room or lead a team, multiple whispers arrived at my desk, stating something similar to what I heard many years ago, but this time about me. Often, women are at a disadvantage in the language of power. According to Bell Hooks, the language of power is a tool that can be used by dominant groups in order to control and oppress. At the same time, marginalized groups can also use it as subversions to resist and create new identity for themselves. Okay, we take the English language, for example. For many colonies, English was considered as the oppressor's tongue. It's been used to create supreme hierarchies, to quell heterogeneity for hegemony, to erase minor histories, and choose official ones. After independence, at the beginning of Malaysia's national building, when Bahasa Malaysia was chosen as the official language, it was part of our subversion to the oppressor's tool, a way to claim our identity. Language has a way of taking roots. Scholars have also said that it is organic, which means it is a living thing and that it can die. Just how Sanskrit, ancient Greek, Latin died. But it can also evolve, just like English. When colonizers took over land, they took over culture and traditions. And one of the ways that they did this was to sow the seeds of English. Whether or not the soil will take did not matter to them. English, language, like human, are resilient. It adopted, adapted, mutated, and changed. English, spoken by non-native speakers, transformed according to its yielders. It creates and gave birth to new kind of English. Creole English, Pidgin English, Indian English, Singaporean English, and our very own Manglish, Malaysian English. Prim and proper structures of the English language are now twisted and butchered. Native speakers and sticklers of the English language absolutely hate this. They hate the odd-sounding pronunciation. They hate the cacophony of syntaxes, hate the nullification of meaning to make space for new ones. Adrian Reach's very famous poem, The Burning of Papers Instead of Children, profoundly contemplated this. It goes like this. This is the oppressor's language, but I need to talk to you. Talk we did, by painting it over with our laughs and our tuba pride text. Now, where is woman in this language of power? Before we go on to that, we must first realize that insofar we have talked about the contestation between power and powerless, colonizers and the colonized, the oppressor and the oppressed. These match pairs are also known as the binary opposition system. The binary opposition system is a structuralism concept, and what it means is that we understand the meaning of something when we place an opposite next to it. Okay, for example, We know what it means to be in a dark place when we learn about light. We know something is big when we place something smaller next to it. We know somebody who's won a race when we see somebody who's lost it. You basically get the idea. The binary opposition system has been part of our daily life for many, many years. It is perhaps one of the reasons why we are obsessed with categorization. It gives us the opportunity to recognize who are like us and who aren't like us. It lists down the traits of people who are them, different, foreign, external, outside, and tell us who are like us, inside, internal, similar, familiar. In order to grasp our enemy, we use the binary system to identify our friends. Women in the language of power are always seen as the object rather than the subject. So in the object-subject match pairs, object is the one receiving an act, whereas the subject is the one performing the action. So if woman is being looked at, then there is a subject who's doing the looking. If woman is being picked at, then there is a subject who's doing the picking. These have jeopardized, threatened the safety and security of girls and women for centuries, boxed in things like, it's just a joke, it's just body, she asked for it. It's just a joke, man, that there was something funny being told. And not being able to find that funny is the receiver's fault. It's just body is stating physical anatomy, but for the receiver, an annihilation of their being. When women don't check into any of these categories, a subversion of their own, new labels come up. Too rough, too independent, too loud. So in the language of power, women are always seen as secondary, inferior. And when they subvert, non-conformist, rebellious, and at both instances, they are at a disadvantage. I want to make it clear, first, and a disclaimer, that when we say that there are issues surrounding the language of power about women is in contrast to the language of power about men, we're not talking about men as individuals. We're talking about men as a system. The patriarchal system that also diminishes and also depreciates male. The point of my sharing session today is to state that the binary worldview is harmful and inadequate, and that the reality of the world on ground is a lot more complex and nuanced than just this or that. In Malaysian context, reclamation of language by women is a process deeply intertwined in the complex interplay of patriarchy, cultural norms, religious interpretations, and our nation's own multilingual and multi-ethnic makeup. Our Bahasa, for example, do not have the same binary system as English. But it does not mean that we do not uphold the same binary structures. An outspoken boss is an outspoken boss until it's a female boss. Then it's a boss on her period. Then it's a demanding boss. Then it's a fussy boss. A joke is funny to everybody until it's a joke sexualizing the body of the new secretary, and suddenly she is too serious to take it. When we stress about me being too emotional, too liberal, too much arrive at my desk, I thought a lot how different things could have been if my emotions were not taken at value as something volatile but human. How different it would have been if my firmness were not seen as obstinate but dedication. If my choices and decisions were not compared to my counterparts. We were told that to be proper is to stay within the lines of these invisible binaries. But if our histories of Malaysian language and our subversion of the oppressor's tool has taught us anything, it is that language is not a static monument. It is something moldable. We have proven that we can take language meant to exclude us and make it sound like us. I believe we can do the same with the language agenda. We can start by the way we speak to each other. We can start with the way we think of one another. We don't need a system to give us new vocabulary. What we do, we take back. We unbind the binary. We break the language and we claim back the power. Thank you very much.